If you're a horror film fan, which personally I am, Eli Roth is one of the most polarizing directors on the horror scene today. Many horror aficionados who despise his films often do so out of a personal dislike for his work in what's considered part of the torture porn subgenre, which Roth revolutionized with the films Hostel 1 and Hostel 2. And I'm not going to offer my personal opinion on those here, but suffice to say, I do have an appreciation for some of Roth's work, particularly the 2002 film Cabin Fever, which is just a joyously fun and often silly horror film that brings some excellent moments of gore, tension, and unease. In any case, what I do admire about Roth as a filmmaker is that he often tries to push the boundaries to invoke strong reactions from his audiences. Usually, Roth is going to give me something that goes a little bit farther than I expected in any given work. That is why I was somewhat surprised to see that his latest film, Thanksgiving, is pretty much a classically styled and structured homage to the 80s slasher genre, right out of the page of films like the Friday the 13th series, or in the vein of 1981's My Bloody Valentine or 1983's Sleepaway Camp. If you don't have any appreciation for that type of film, then you're not going to want to see Thanksgiving. And while it's a departure from the style of horror we've come to expect from Roth, he does respectful service to the slasher film genre here. Roth has come to prominence over the last 2 decades, partially because of his long-standing public friendship and collaborations with Quentin Tarantino, who continues to be one of the strongest advocates for Roth's work.
This holiday season, prepare to have the stuffing scared out of you.
Thanksgiving began birth as a fake trailer that was part of Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez's 2007 Grindhouse, which was released in theaters as a double feature where for the price of one cinema ticket you got 2 full entire feature films, one from each of those outstanding directors. Films that were throwbacks to the 70s era of low-budget grindhouse horror and exploitation cinema. Intermingled in that release were fake trailers played mostly for laughs, one of which was done by Roth called Thanksgiving, which was his riff on the holiday-themed horror film subgenre, which is a staple that most horror film fans are keenly aware of. Roth and Tarantino both appreciated that of all the holiday horror films that had ever been made, nobody had ever really tackled the Thanksgiving holiday, and the fake trailer for it in Grindhouse is hilarious. Now, Thanksgiving is the third one of the fake trailers from Grindhouse to be turned into an honest-to-God full feature film, the first being Rodriguez's awesome film Machete, starring Danny Trejo, and the other being Hobo with a Shotgun, directed by Jason Eisner and starring Rutger Hauer. For my tastes, all these films have broken through and been, well, much, much better than they had any right to be, especially the first Machete. Thanksgiving stars Patrick Dempsey, the superstar heartthrob from over 10 seasons of the hit television show Grey's Anatomy, and also a prominent race car driver. Along with him are a cast of young unknowns and some other seasoned character actors like Gina Gershon and Rick Hoffman. Dempsey, Gershon, and Hoffman are pretty much all of the film's substance here from a performance perspective. The younger and up-and-coming cast, while delivering mostly decent and respectable performances, aren't given much to work with here as the two-dimensional cardboard cutout characters that are typical of the slasher genre. But in the case of Thanksgiving, these characters are mostly awful to spend any time with. One of the most heinous sins a slasher film can commit isn't in giving us those insubstantial characters, but it's to not give the audience enough to either not want to see them get killed or to root for them to get killed. And unfortunately, through a mix of non-spectacular performances and writer Jeff Rendell's script, most, but not all of these characters are painfully dull to spend time with. That being said, outside of one deliciously graphic scene depicting a catastrophic riot during a Thanksgiving Black Friday holiday sale that sets the stage for the plot, most of the first half of this film is a painfully slow, grinding bore. Slow burns up to the good stuff are fine in most slasher films as long as the characters give me something I can latch onto, and these really didn't. However, once this film finally turns it on late in Act 2 and into Act 3, it's a fantastically delicious classic romp through 80s slasher film goodness, and it completely redeems itself while it hits all the right notes, treading all the right tropes, cliches, and gore goodness I would come to expect from the best of that era, and it took me instantly back to my teen years cheering the artistry of on-screen kills. And thank you, Eli Roth, for giving us so many good old-fashioned practical effects gore in most of this. I so miss the days where I can stand up and cheer for the beauty of a wholesome, old-fashioned on-screen goring. I got that again, and I'm happy. If this is not the type of thing that floats your boat, stay as far away from Thanksgiving as you can. Overall, Thanksgiving is a respectable and refreshing entry into the holiday-themed horror subgenre, but fans of Eli Roth are going to find it pretty tame compared to the standards of his other works like Hostel or Green Inferno. Chances are you already know whether this is the type of film you are going to want to see or not, and while it is only in cinemas in its initial release, as much as it pains me to say this about any movie, your life is not going to be detrimentally impacted by waiting for streaming in most likely less than 2 months' time, even if you have to pay to stream it. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. There will be no leftovers.